Well, I think the first time that we saw this character, we didn't really know much about her. We never learned much about the Widow. She's really, I think she's a slippery fish in Iron Man 2, and we get little glimpses of her, her true identity, but it all happens so quickly. To be able to play, the Black Widow as she is without, these many faces. I mean, she still has many different faces she puts on. I think she still is sort of divisive in that way, but we get to see a little bit more of who she is, a little bit of her history, of her kind of shady past. The Black Widow, when we first find her, is she's being tasked. She is in Russia. She is in the middle of taking care of business, and she is then sent for by Nick Fury, and I think all of these characters are sort of reluctant superheroes in a sense. She looks at it as just kind of another job. She's basically out there kind of recruiting the team. And she doesn't know much about this world. We definitely embrace the wushu a lot, and there's a lot of weapons in this, way more, kind of weaponry than I've ever had to learn before. So that's been complicated a little bit. You're like, okay, I can do all this hand-to-hand stuff. Oh yeah, here's this giant staff, or a bow and arrow, or fight with these two guns in your hand, and you're like, wait a minute, I had all those movements down, and now I'm fighting against a 20-pound giant stick. So that stuff is a little bit difficult to pick up. I have to say, the first time I saw what they had in mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna learn it. And you do, it's just a lot of fails until you get it. Joss's dialogue is so witty and so dry and so clever, and I think he's really invested in each personality, and you can see the little I'd call them Whedonisms in the words. There's a lot of pop cultural references, and there's a lot of heart behind the characters. They are, when they hurt, they're hurt. We relate to them. There's betrayal. There's suspicion. These are real feelings, and I think the audience will relate to them, just as they have in the Iron Man films, just as they have in Thor, just as they do, in Captain America. I think the audience relates to each one of these films because they are, and I think it's why audiences, or why readers relate to comic books, is because these characters are human but have these superhuman abilities. And Joss, as a fan, I think, was just dedicated to seeing that through. I think what makes this film stand out is, of course, the cast is just insane. When do you ever get to see this group of actors come together in this kind of fantasy world? And I think it's the sort of the grounded nature with which this film, with which Joss has infused this film, that sort of is, I think, in my mind, a throwback to what people loved in Iron Man, the original, but it's with a kind of sci-fi infusion in some way. It's everything that Joss loves about sci-fi, which is being able to escape in this sort of, ultimate kind of otherworldly reality, but have it still be heartfelt and sincere.